Holy smokes, when you see a title to any of my videos like this one, it means it is critically important. We just got the craziest thing that happened today in a very long time. As you can see, as you can tell, stocks were doing just fine today. Bond yields were going lower, not so much now. Stocks have done a complete 360, 180, double backflip, swan dive to crash on their faces. Yeah, we have all of this breaking news for you and much more. We have all of your Tesla stock news as well. We also have the option flow activity with Tesla, your technical news, and much more. So, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns if, and only if, you guys want to stay up to date with what's going on in the markets as well as Tesla stock each and every single day. And especially if you own Tesla stock, make sure to hit that like button so everyone knows that you are a Tesla stock investor. So yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. We're going to get into the what in the world is happening to the markets right now. I did put this out on X. If you guys are not following us over there, definitely go ahead and give us a follow. Michael Tyler, just like the channel name of this channel. I did put out breaking news. Soaring 30-year bond auction causing stocks to fall intraday. A 30-year bond auction happened at 1 p.m. today. Auction yield came in at 4.837%. The previous auction was 4.12%, essentially. What I did not know, at least initially, was there was no bids at the Fed for this 30-year bond auction. That is a holy smokes kind of moment. That is not good. And as you can see from the comment section of this post, I'm not the only one that is sounding the alarm here. Now, why is this a problem? Well, when people don't want to buy the bonds, you could have a collapse of the bond market. As simple as that. But why is this even worse than that might sound? Because if the Fed's not buying bonds, if nobody else is buying bonds, the Treasury is still selling bonds. So essentially, the Treasury is selling bonds no matter what because they need to raise capital for the U.S. government that is spending like they are drunk. This could mean a snowball in yields. That 8, 10, 13% 10-year Treasury that you've heard all about, that clip from CNBC that went completely viral over the last couple of weeks, getting millions of views. Well, this is how that happens when you have nobody that wants to buy the bonds. This is causing TLT to drop 2.67% today. So this is bad on a couple different fronts. So bond yields going higher, that obviously restricts the economy, especially on the 10, 20, 30-year bonds. That really puts a lot of pressure on the real economy. It makes the odds of a soft landing a lot less likely. The higher those yields go, the more likely you are for a recession. That's pretty straightforward. But also the banks. Quick backstory. Remember the government sent out stimulus checks and loaded people's bank accounts with money. Well, the banks, they're allowed to do really two things with that money. They're allowed to buy treasuries, I guess three things. Treasuries, high quality stocks, as well as lend out money. Not a lot of people were taking out loans during that period of time. So when the banks were flushed with all this capital, they're not allowed to keep all of that money on hand. So they had to go out, literally almost forced to buy treasuries. If you're looking at treasuries as far as TLT, this will give you a pretty good example or reference to go off of what happened. Banks were buying treasuries in this range. And now treasuries are way the heck down here. So banks have a lot of unrealized losses. Every time TLT goes down and this chart goes lower, the banking crisis potentially could come back. Now, if you get a spiral of yields because nobody wants to buy the bonds, this chart could go even lower, thus potentially cramping down the economy too much, thus creating a problem in the banking sector, thus meaning the Fed would need to intervene. That's the bottom line to it. You get another auction like we just seen, maybe 2 of them, investors are going to say, if nobody wants to buy the bonds, maybe we should sell the bonds. And that could create an even larger snowball effect. This would force the Fed, more than likely, to start quantitative easing or just cutting rates outright. And that's why this is a holy smokes kind of moment. This could force the Fed to U-turn and become more accommodative for the economy, for the markets. If just nobody simply wants to buy the bonds, you can't force people to buy the bonds. And then you could have a big problem on your hands, and which you're seeing that here today. Stocks at one point today, the NASDAQ was up over 0.5%. Now at the time of recording this video, you're down 0.5%. A complete U-turn in equity markets. So yeah, there's no telling what comes next, but what we've seen today is not good at all. And just for a little bit of reference here, the cost to service your mortgage is now 42% of the US median household income, 10% higher than on the eve of the 2008 housing crash per UBS. Look at this. I mean, if yields even soar higher from here, the economy could be a house of cards. You cannot sustain this by itself without a soaring of yields. If the treasuries do continue to go higher, and nobody continues to want to buy the bonds, you're going to have to see a Fed U-turn. A Fed pivot is coming. Now, I would like to point out, this is the first red day since this Israel crisis did happen, because over the past couple of days, you really haven't seen much change. Israel got Hamas out of their country. They've been bombing Hamas in Gaza. Nothing has really changed from that perspective. The situation has not gotten worse. So what happened, besides today, the prior couple of days, investors were actually buying the bonds because they were fearful. There was a fear move. So that was actually pretty good for our markets, and it did allow stocks to rise big time. If in a weird way, if this Israel conflict does not escalate to some degree, and there's not a fear buy in bonds, then this could be bad for equities. Bond yields are going to soar higher, continue to soar higher. This is definitely scaring hedge funds, institutions, banks, governments. They're all like, hey, we should probably sell our bonds if nobody wants to buy them. Okay, we should try to get out while we can now. So a little bit of fear out there might actually be positive for equity markets, as strange as that does sound to get a bid in the bond market. And as you can see, bond yields are marching higher today. 30-year treasury yields are up 13 basis points. 10-year treasuries are up about 11 basis points. So if this does continue, well, you're going to have a problem, especially if the 30-year treasury does break out above 5%, which could happen theoretically tomorrow or, next week. That would obviously be probably the tipping point, if I were to imagine. The tipping point in which something would start to break and the Fed would need to U-turn. It also does not help when these treasury yields are rising the way they are. It's also causing the dollar to rise. The dollar is up 0.68% today. If this does continue higher and break above your previous high that you've seen back here on October 3rd, well, that's going to be a negative for the markets as well. We're heading into earnings season. All eyes are turning onto earnings, especially coming tomorrow. You are going to get the bank earnings, and that is going to be a big catalyst likely in and of itself, especially if bank earnings are negative. Hopefully they're not, but if they are, that's not great. The dollar really affects your multinational companies that do business in foreign currencies, that convert those foreign currencies into US dollars. So the higher this chart goes on a day-by-day basis, when that conversion is happening, it's meaning less dollars for US companies. Think of Tesla, think of Apple, think, these other companies that do business overseas. Now, we talk about this a little bit more in the next video at 9 p.m. We also go over my expectations around Tesla stock and earnings. Do I think Tesla's going to rise? Do I think it's going to fall? What in the world do I think is going to happen? We go over all of that in the next video. But what you're seeing coming tonight is the Chinese inflation rate. We're not going to focus on that too much. You don't want to see deflation over here. A little inflation, that's good news. Now, tomorrow morning, you're also going to get the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey. 5-year inflation expectations and 1-year inflation expectations can move the bonds. 5-year inflation expectations expected at 2.7%. Last month, we were expecting 2.8%. So a little bit of a slowdown from the last month's number. And the 1-year inflation expectations expected at 3.1%. Last month's number was 3.2%. So a little bit of a slowdown there as well. As you can see, Tesla stock is down about 1.5%. This is not due to any bad news specifically Tesla's gotten. This is due to what's happening in the markets today. So let's go ahead and get into all of the news for Tesla stock. A Cybertruck has been spotted charging in Melbourne, Florida. Looks like the truck has some aero wheel covers on, and you're starting to see more Cybertrucks out there. Hopefully that means we're getting pretty dang close to the delivery event. That could come at any time. I do elaborate on this more at the video 9 p.m. tonight Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys are there. You definitely don't want to miss it. But I think from now until earnings, at some point over the next 10 days or so, you're going to get that announcement. It could be this weekend. At the bare minimum, I think it's going to be by earnings. Tesla Asia posted on their X account, experience the upgraded Model 3 and explore the newly unveiled Giga Museum, now ready in Hong Kong SAR. And as you can see, here are some of the pictures. The new Model 3 looking fresh as heck, and you can see the gray as well. I definitely dig the gray a little bit more than the red, but look at this crowd. People pretty dang enthusiastic about Tesla over there in Hong Kong, and you guys can see the other products that are on display. It looks like the manufacturing capabilities, the GigaPress, different things that go into making Teslas. This looks like a Model 3 body, if I'm looking at this correctly, in the actual frame itself. So pretty cool. In other news, Tesla has improved its position in Universium's most attractive employers list, which asks students across the globe which companies they want to work for. Tesla ranked 38th for business students, 16th for engineering students, and 19th for information technology students in the 2023 report. It was the first time Tesla cracked the top 50 for business majors, while it gained 10 spots from 2022 in engineering and 9 spots in IT. And that's actually better news than you would think, because you want the smartest people possible working at Tesla. You want the most dedicated individuals working at Tesla. Now, not everyone with a college degree is dedicated nor smart, so it doesn't necessarily mean all too much, but you are going to get some people that would be really good, potentially additions to Tesla's business, that now may want to work for Tesla even more than they did prior. Remember, technology is all about talent. Ford now lays off another 1,000 workers due to the UAW strike. As Sawyer Merritt says, he just learned as well as I did, so thank you for providing this, Sawyer Merritt. This specific factory that went on strike yesterday that sent 8,700 union members to strike generates $25 billion annually for Ford, about a sixth of the company's global automotive revenue. This factory includes the Ford Expedition, includes the Ford truck, and includes the Lincoln, I believe. Tesla has now reduced the price of its Giga Texas belt buckle to $50 from $100 at the peak in late 2021. It cost around $150. Tesla is now offering a clear paint protection film in the US for $5,000 for 2023 and later Model 3 and Model Ys. Clear wraps are also available. Clear gloss is $5,000. Clear satin is also $5,000. The features of this self-healing urethane-based film protects paint against chips, scratches, and swirling. More environmentally friendly than traditional vinyl wraps. Quote, wrap your Model 3 or Model Y in one of our premium clear films, only available through Tesla, offered in glass clear, which will keep your paint's existing gloss finish, and satin clear, which will change your paint's gloss finish to matte. And here are the lineups of colors and how you can actually do this. Tesla has now launched a cheaper leasing price for the US for the Model 3 and the Model Y with a 36-month term. The rear wheel Model Y is now $399 a month, used to be $499 a month. The Model 3 rear wheel drive is $329 a month, used to be $419 a month. The Model Y long range, $469 a month, used to be $549 a month. The Model 3 long range is $439 a month, used to be $509 a month. And the Model Y performance is $539 a month, from $629 a month, and the Model 3 Performance of $529 a month from a previous $609 a month. So especially on the lower end, you are seeing like a 25% reduction in the leasing cost. Tesla now says on the Model 3 order page that the $7,500 EV tax credit is expected to reduce to $3,750 on December 31st, pending federal guidance. They are encouraging people to take delivery in Q4 to guarantee full incentive. This article from Yahoo Finance says insiders at Tesla sold $7.5 billion in stock, alluding to potential weakness. Now, Elon Musk sold $3.9 billion worth of shares at about $220 per share. Now, selling of stock is obviously not a great thing to see, but insiders still own about 14% of the company, worth $121 billion worth of shares, so their interests are very much in line with yours. And now, there's a lot of reasons why people sell stock. Divorces, buying a house, doing this or that. A lot of the executives at Tesla are paid in stock options. They're paid in stock, so it's not as alarming as you would think at another company where maybe not a lot of their compensation is in actual stock. Tesla's option activity, surprisingly, is pretty dang bullish, considering the stock is now down 2% as the markets are just getting pummeled following this $0 bond auction. You have a positive order value of 85%. You have seen 587 orders totaling $247.04 million here on the day today. So we'll see if this changes. Usually you get a lot of that dollar interest heading into Tesla options towards the end of the day, but I do think the options in the beginning of the day are more significant because that's intraday trading, that's intraday activity in Tesla. So the intraday activity in Tesla, definitely on the bullish side today. And just a quick reminder, Tesla is by far the most shorted stock in our markets by a long shot. The short interest currently sits at $22.13 billion, and this is incorporated in the video at 9 p.m. tonight, but essentially, if you do get that upside move, you start to break above $300 per share, the shorts are going to be in a very bad spot, especially if the outlook for 2024 starts to look that much better. But again, I would like to point this out. I'm very bullish on Tesla, very bullish on the long-term potential of Tesla. That I could make like a 5-hour long video, probably just one spiel about why I'm bullish for the long term. Obviously, we're not going to do that. But here in the short term, it's all about the Israel conflict, if that gets worse. But more importantly, it's about bonds. Nobody showed up to buy the bonds today. Somebody's going to have to buy those bonds. If it's not the Fed, the government's not going to stop selling the bonds because they have things they need to fund. So this is a real problem for equity markets. This is even a bigger problem for the government and even a larger problem for the Fed. So that's the thing that is really dominating the markets here today. That bond auction did a complete 180. And just in the time of recording this video, Tesla stock has went from down about 1%, now down to 2.3%. The NASDAQ was up 0.5%. Now it is down 1% here on the day. This is a huge reversal, and surprisingly, it comes right at the peak of this trend line, this downtrending line from the peak that you hit back in July. So you got rejected there. Your next stop on the NASDAQ is your 50-day moving average at $366.79. Under that, then you want to be watching your 100-day moving average at $365.50. And then under that, your 200-day moving average at $333.48. So that is basically going to do it for this video. Tesla, as far as a technical basis, again, your 50, 100-day moving average sitting right there pretty even at about 250. If you fall under that, the markets do really go through a crash scenario. Your downtrending or uptrending line of support is meeting the prior support level of 240. So 240 is a very significant level. That is about $17 lower than where Tesla stock is right now. If you break under that, the market situation is going to be really, really bad. And then you got to watch that 200-day moving average at $211. If you break under that, I hope you have hedges on your portfolio. I hope that you are a part of the trading community because, oh boy, at that point, yeah, you have a massive, massive problem. So that is going to do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. If you guys would like to come hedge out your portfolios, come trade with us live in real time, be in the best possible scenario to capitalize on any situation the markets throw at us, link down below in the description of this video. Go ahead, follow us on Twitter as well, X, whatever you want to call it. It's just Michael Tyler. Pretty simple to do. Go ahead. That's not linked down below. Just go ahead and check it out. I think my fire alarm just went off, so I'm going to check out what's going on there. You guys have a great rest of your day. My name is Michael Tyler, and I will see you in the next one.